live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat. Period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, at least I think on the other side of the glass, is my partner, Mark Wages. There he is. Sorry, I had a black screen, but there he is. And you are on the lifeboat. I want to thank everybody. It feels like a Monday. Does it not? Today really feels like a Monday to me. So, little before we get rolling, tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in my life. So as most of you know, I spent a decent amount of my life skiing, and I was fairly good at it. And over the time that I did this, I got a lot of injuries. It's one of the things that started me down the road to opiates. Was prescription medication from injuries like knees, shoulders, all of those different things. And as it turns out, I had what's called a Baker's cyst on the back of my knee. And at the time they said, don't worry about it. There are people who live with it their entire life, but this was a long time ago. And in the last couple of days, it just started to bother me. And then today it's gotten to the point where I can't step on it. When I put weight on it, it just sort of collapses. So I've got it wrapped up with like 4 or 5, wraps on it to keep it solid and in place so that I can at least get myself around. And probably after this show or tomorrow morning, I'm going to go to a doctor and try to get this looked at, which ought to be a lot of fun, right? But it needs to happen. So I thought I would tell you that. Also, a little bit more behind the scenes. There are people who have been able to, in the short time that we've been on that channel, there are people who have been able to celebrate 2 birthdays. Right, because of what time of year their birthday falls on. There are people that we are now wishing a happy birthday for the 2nd time. Even though I got a really cool seat, I only had 1. And by the time I'm getting my 2nd, she'll be closing in rapidly on her 3rd. Miss V. So if you see V in the comment section, please tell V a very happy birthday. She's a pillar here. I mean, just plain and simple. She is a pillar. If we look out on the deck and we don't see V, then there's usually something wrong. It makes us all pretty nervous. And I will tell you, V, not only a very, very happy birthday, but check your email. That would be coming in on the sober from my Yahoo. I believe you owe me an email right now. Just saying. People.
She just popped in the chat. Happy birthday, V. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, V. You're really lucky we don't decide to sing. Next time, we absolutely may do that.
Our computer screens will crack.
Yeah, no question, right? And the way this microphone picks stuff up, it would be really bad. I think I see her emoji actually blushing, which is a really nice thing.
That's right.
All right, people. So, if you read the thumbnail, and I assume most of you do, you're probably thinking, that's ridiculous, right? Of course it's a drug. It's a stupid premise from the word go. You can blame me for that stupid premise. That had nothing to do with my bobbleheaded partner. And I'll tell you why I did this. Because the number of people that email me about this, and I don't mean they don't think it's a drug. They are very dyed in the wool that it is a drug. And so much so that they get angry at me for saying drugs and alcohol. And the number of people that this has happened to, that have reached out to me, probably over a dozen, in the time that we've been doing this. And in the past, I've responded to everybody sort of one at a time. I had a couple, maybe 3 this week, because we have a lot of new people. So I figured I would just do a show about it and, sort of head it off. And I think it's an important discussion, right? There are a lot of differences between the drug alcohol and the other drugs that we talk about when we say drugs and alcohol. There is such a difference in how alcohol is viewed by the rest of the world, right? In almost every single society, it is such an accepted part of what people do that it creates a very unique dynamic, right? Do you know anybody that does a drug but doesn't get high? Because there are people out there that have a glass of wine but don't ever have a second. There are people out there that cut themselves off at 2 beers. I realize that to people like us, that seems ridiculous, but those people exist. There are people that have 1 drink, right? So that is one of the phenomenons that you will never, ever see. Hello, Idaho. You will never see that with any other kind of drug. Well, I take a hit of weed, but I don't hold it in. I just blow it out because I want to taste it. We did have a president that did that, but for the most part, that's not done, right?
Well played.
Yes, thank you. For the most part, that's just not done. Also, when we talk about accepted, when was the last time you turned on the Super Bowl? And during the Super Bowl with all of these fantastic commercials that are done, you remember the one for heroin? Probably not. But you could probably remember a bunch of them for Budweiser, right? A bunch. And it's such a part of our society that, every single year around Super Bowl time, people are waiting to see what the Budweiser ads are going to do, right? You're never going to see one for drugs. Now, I know I'm going to get an email tonight that says, do you know how many drug ads there are on TV every day? I know. Yeah, there's a ton. There really is. In our country and in New Zealand, there are more drug ads than you could possibly shake a stick at. But they're not advertising, for the most part, across the board. These are not things that get you buzzed, right? These are things that help with asthma. These are things that help with restless leg syndrome. A lot of them help with ED, right? They used to love doing those commercials on the Super Bowl so that you had to explain to your kids exactly what erectile dysfunction is, which is always a fun conversation to have in the Super Bowl, right? But yeah, so it's a very, very different dynamic than is drugs. And you kind of find yourself in a quandary if what you really think is that we should probably hold on a second. This is going to sound horrible, but I'd probably rather be addicted to heroin rather than alcohol. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. It does not offend me.
Me either.
And I understand exactly what you're saying. And I don't know if you can imagine just how many times in my life I used to say, boy, I wish alcohol was the drug that got me. It's not so much that, I'd be sitting in a parking lot waiting for somebody to deliver the drugs, and I'd be looking across the street and going, I could just buy booze right there. But that doesn't flip my switch. That's just not, the drug that gets me. It's, that kind of thing is very, very personal. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and I would say this too, guys. You got to look at the danger of each one we're talking about here too. They're all dangerous, but I think me and Tommy both agree alcohol and benzos is the top of the list.
No question.
It's so
absolutely no question.
Just hurt other people and hurt ourselves. So.
Yeah, no question. Brandon, thank you so much. Now, right now, Mark, it's for the first time probably in our lifetime, it's overshadowed because there are so many people that are overdosing that you tend to go, that's probably more dangerous. But truth be told, because of what this stuff does in the body, It, we've talked about this many times. Acute alcohol withdrawal can kill you if you have been drinking long enough. Just detoxing, when you go into the delirium tremens, those seizures can actually stop your heart and can kill you. And it's not something that happens every once in a great while. It is the second cause of death in county jails across the country, right? That is really prevalent. And on top of that, there are so many people in our culture who can abuse alcohol for 50 years and never have somebody say, hey, man, you really got to get that under control.
Yeah.
Because if you see somebody that's drinking 8 or 9 beers a day, but you never see them do anything stupid, they seem to always be paying their bills, right? People don't intervene unless, like we were talking about yesterday, there are certain buttons that need to get hit. And once those do, like you're running out of money a couple of days in. Linda, sorry that you're having a bad day. I'm glad that you're here.
I think Virginia is here on the phone. Is that you, Virginia?
Oh,
Virginia, can you hear me?
Unmute.
No, she's not muted. She's in the room. I don't know if she can hear us or not. But, okay.
Oh, she.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll keep talking until maybe she gets it worked out.
Okay.
So I'm also left with this. Let's say I stop saying drugs and alcohol, right? And we just completely go with the it's just plain going to be drugs. How then do I say things as I start to word them, right? What is your drug of choice? Don't say the A word. Tommy, I was told that I had a Baker's cyst at the back of my knee, had acupuncture. It got worse. 3 times trips to the ER suggested DVT. I was right. And the clot was in the thigh, valve knee damage. DVT would be deep vein thrombosis, I believe. With the amount of time I spent sticking needles into veins, I think that.
Hello, Mark.
There she is.
And full of hope. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the generosity. And I will look into that because I think that you may be right. I'm absolutely willing to look at that.
Is that you, Virginia?
Yes.
Yes, I can barely hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
hear you perfectly.
Yep, you're on the
Okay.
You're on the line. Go for it, girl. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to tell everybody a little bit about my experience. I became a member of the boat because I wanted to help a couple other people in my family and a couple of my friends. Little did I know that I was an addict myself. The reason I'm an addict myself is because of prescription drugs given to me, of course, by my doctors. And I've been on these medicines since 2014. I was a person that never took medicines prior to this. And I had a knee surgery that went very bad. 6 weeks out of knee surgery, I was still in so much pain. And the doctor finally sent me to a pain specialist.
Yep.
The pain specialist actually said to me, "What did they do to you?"
Oh.
He really did. I really liked the pain specialist, but when you were talking about the happy faces and all of that,
right,
he asked me what pain level I was at. And one day I did say to him, "How do I know? You've got me on so much pain medicine. How do I actually know what pain level I'm at?"
Right. Good point.
So what he did, he dropped my prescription level down. Instead of 3 of the methadone a day, he dropped them down to where I was taking 2 a day. But I was on so many other pain medications also. I didn't know that all of the prescriptions that I were on were, some of them, the narcotics. I didn't know anything about medicine. I'm an elderly person. I might as well tell you, I'm going to be 70 in a couple of days. I didn't know anything about medicines. I was not brought up on medicines. And I became so addicted to this pain medicine that I was given that I became a different person. Having
Yeah.
said that, I couldn't walk without the pain medicine. I've got a limp from the surgery, from the knee surgery that didn't go right. Not only that, I've got back issues. I had back surgery. I've had many back surgeries, and they're trying to correct whatever happened to me. And all the surgeries that I've had led to another surgery. I had hip surgery. I've had 3 major surgeries trying to correct something. Who knows what it was? When they came and talked to me about my knee surgery afterwards, he told me that my kneecap was not as bad as what he thought it was in the beginning. So I was thinking, what is wrong with me then? What in the world's wrong with me? I was a person who worked on my feet for a living. I was always on my feet. Prior to that, I did daycare, and I had children on my hip a lot, carrying children for 12 years. Not only that, I had children of my own that I carried on my hip. I think a lot of my troubles came from what I did as a person, what my jobs pertain to, how long I worked, and then when I started developing these issues, here I am subject to the drug world,
Right.
the medical world. And I really, truly believe with all my heart, I'm trying to get off of everything. I'm only on one medicine now because I myself took myself off. I refused to go back to the pain doctors anymore. I refused. And I'm in pain. Yeah, I'm in pain. But I'm trying to work it out myself. And days, there's a lot of days, you guys. It's sometimes more than I can bear. But I pray myself through it. And I go and I talk with other people. I'm out into the world right now, and I am talking to other people, and I'm learning of their problems as well. The same thing is happening to them, was happening to them, is happening to them. I'm trying to make it so that this doesn't happen to us anymore. I'm trying to make it a better world for everybody, for my grandchildren, my children, everybody. I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. And I guess the reason of my call is this. I just wanted you to all know that there is escape from the medical world and from the addictions that you're on, because I'm living proof that you're going to get better. You really will. You don't need all of this stuff that you're on. And think about it, because sometimes when we are brought to our knees by the medical field that we went in, that hurt us maybe and got us on prescription drugs, that leads to other drugs. And I did start back in smoking again. I had a life change, and I'm trying to get off of that because I know that's bad too.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from Diet Coke. I'm trying to get away from a lot of things that are addictions.
That's
The lifeboat has been a lifeboat for me. Thank you.
well, yeah.
You know what, Virginia? I love you. What a great call. I mean, honestly, what a great call. And
Amazing.
I was reading in the comments section while you were talking, and there were so many people that said, once again, you can thank the doctor that basically opens the door. And 4 out of 5, right? We've talked about this so many times. 4 out of 5 addictions start with a prescription. But hats off, and God bless your strength, for real. And thank you so much for calling in. I think that people needed to hear that.
Yeah, Virginia.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people needed to hear that, especially, and please don't be offended by this, but somebody of your age, because we don't get a whole lot of people talking about this from somebody your age. But there are a lot of people out there that are just like you, of your age. And I think that is such a, oh my God, it's number one, it's brave. It's brave to come out here and talk like this. I know how hard
Right.
it is. I think me and Tommy both are part of that 4 out of 5 that got sucked into this from pain pills.
No question.
You know, and luckily I never went to the to heroin or anything like that. I was very lucky in that aspect. But I definitely understand what you're saying, because I remember going to the pain doctor, and he didn't even have a nurse, Virginia. He walked in with the prescription pad in his hand and asked me what I wanted.
Yeah. Yep. The bad old days.
It was bad.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is, and you know, you don't
That-
even know it, and it gets you. I remember sitting on my back porch and my mom just looking at me like, "You didn't even know it got you, did you, son?" Because
Sneaks up on you.
It got me, and I didn't know it. I didn't even know I was addicted until I started feeling the withdrawals and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And when they tried to get me, okay, I had to go in for a hip surgery. So a different hospital, who I chose a different hospital to have my hip surgery, they did tests on me because they had to prior to my surgery. And they found out that they said my heart was bad. So I had to undergo some testing before I could have the hip surgery. And what they said that it was the methadone that they had put me on. Now that's the prescription, that is the one that helped me. But there again, what helped me? Which one of these medicines really helped me? None of them.
Right.
None of them. They
Not in the long
masked.
run, right? Exactly.
They masked it and got you hurt worse. Is what
Yep.
happened.
Yes, they
It's-
did.
Yep.
It's so
Go ahead.
difficult not to be cynical, you know, and I'm not trying to sound cynical, especially because there are times where there's no other option. And, you know, I never want to, you know, the people in hospice, and there are people that honestly, where the pain is just, you know, unbearable. However, there is, you know, they basically have gotten to the point where there's a ton of money in treating pain, right? Curing pain, not a whole lot of money in. There's a ton of money in treating everything, but there isn't a whole lot of money in curing things, right? That, you know, a recurring payment is kind of what this entire system is built on, right? We'll just treat the symptoms, not what's actually happening. And we talk about, you know, all of the different, you know, with drugs might not be the problem. Very often they're the symptom. Well, you know, in medicine, if you got a pain somewhere, that's not the problem. That's the symptom. But they like to treat that symptom. And along the way, they decided to make it so that they're going to put so much meds in there that you're never going to feel pain. I think what you said that really got me earlier was, how the hell do I know what my pain level is? You know, you got me doped up enough where you can't feel that pain level. It's amazing.
Virginia,
Exactly.
Virginia, let me tell you this real quick, because I doubt if you were reading the chat while you were on the phone there.
No.
Johnny, Chase the Heat, popped in and said that call made me feel better. He's having a rough day today. So just know.
He is. I'll tell you about it. He's
Oh.
really having a tough day.
You immediately
Johnny.
help somebody just from coming on here talking. So just know.
Bless his heart.
And
Bless his
Lawrence
heart.
said, Lawrence Vargoni said, had a birthday yesterday. Turned the same age as you. So happy birthday to you. That's awesome. And Don
Thank
Morning
you.
said there is a surgery scheduled. I think it's 10 days from now on the spine. It's terrifying. It really is, you know, but there are times that there really is no other option. But I understand your fears. I'm so afraid of going in on this. And that makes perfect sense.
Who's
to me.
going to
I
do
get it.
that?
That would be
Oh, no.
Dawn Morning. You see Dawn in the
Oh, Dawn, no.
yeah. I know it's
No.
rough.
it's
rough.
really, really awful.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Maybe a second opinion or a
I-
third opinion, you know.
Yeah.
But there
Yeah.
are, you know, there are surgeries that cannot be avoided. But boy, if they can be, hey SG, good to see you. If they can be, it is a really great thing that we do. But you know what, Virginia, I can't thank you enough for this call, and I don't want to hear anybody ever on the boat say it's too hard to do that call-in number because you got to put codes in and all of that. No problem whatsoever,
Yeah.
right? For Virginia to do that.
Hey, I struggled. I got
but you're
it.
on
You
here.
got
I
it,
would
I
tell
can
you.
do it. Anybody can do it.
That's
But you're
right.
on here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
very,
I did.
very,
I
very
struggled,
proud
but
of
I-
you.
Thank you. I said a thing yesterday. Yesterday was the 22nd.
Yep.
That was my mom's birthday, and she's passed. She had Alzheimer's, and she went through this medicine thing herself. She did, and I was not awake then. I was not awake to what's going on. So bless my mom's heart. I really wanted to do this yesterday, and my birthday gift to my mother is that I came on and I'm speaking the truth
Yes, you are.
because I love my mom so much. And I don't want anybody, like I said, to go through the tortures of what us people are going through with addictions, with prescription addictions in particular. That's something that was kind of forced upon us. And I guess I'll say one more thing and then I'll get off of here. When my mom was in the nursing home, there was a beautiful lady that came in and she gave her time and helped the people, and we sang with them and this, that, and the other. She told me that her military husband was in so much pain. And I asked her why. She told me that he could no longer get the prescription pain medicine that he had been on, that because of all of these drugs coming across our border, it was hard for him to get what he needed from his doctor, and that he was living in pain. And that made me cry. It made me cry because I hated to hear that, particularly of a military man
Right.
who gave his time for us.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah,
And it's a story that you hear a lot, honestly. It's and for a lot of different reasons. You know, they got everybody, you know, to the point where they titrate them up as high as you can, right? Just keep giving them as much as you possibly can. And you know, to where a lot of these people were taking 6, 7, 8 OxyContin 80s a day. At one point, I swear to you people, I was getting 12 a day was my prescription. And then they just yanked the rug out from underneath you. You know, by then you have a very, very serious addiction, and they say, "Oh, we can't do that anymore." Congress has said this is a bad thing, and now we're just going to stop.
straight to the street.
Straight to the street, right? You take somebody out of a doctor's office, and then 4 out of 5 of them will wind up on the street, you know, buying medication and buying street dope or whatever. And these days, that's a death sentence. But again, Virginia, you are awesome, and what a great call. And boy, if anybody else says I can't call in, I am going to give you the business, right?
You
Because
go,
Virginia-
Oh,
Yeah, you
all-star,
are
right
I
there.
love
gonna
you guys. I love you all.
Virginia,
I
right
do.
before,
I love you.
right before you hang up, Dawn Morning wanted you to reach out. If there's any problem doing that, if you guys don't want to put your email info into the chat, right? Because a million people could see it later on. You can both email me at sober@myyahoo.com. Dawn, more important that you do, because I have Virginia's address and I can hook the two of you up, and I can do that right after the show. So if you want to just shoot me an email after the live feed, sober@myyahoo.com, please.
Thank you,
And,
Virginia. Thank
certainly.
you so much. I mean,
Great call.
please,
Absolutely great call.
tomorrow when this gets reposted, please go back and read the chat.
Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
You'll see. I promise.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I will.
We love
I
you.
think
Thank you.
that would be awesome. Yep. Thank you.
I love you
Absolutely.
guys.
Love
I
you,
love you.
Virginia. That's the bottom of my heart.
Yep.
Absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to hang up so you can finish your show and talk to somebody else, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
God bless. I've spent a decent amount of time talking with Virginia through this process, and she's just a really fantastic person.
Couldn't tell. Yeah.
Right?
Awesome
She's
person,
just
man.
she's just awesome. She really is. And you know what? I got to Rip left a comment, and I think that this one's important here, real quick, people. He said, a close in-law I respect and love dearly had a relapse because of life changes that he felt were too much, and he got a DUI, and he feels just awful because he feels he let his wife down and he let others down. And you know what? This is it. The reason I read this is because, like we've talked about so often, you know, if you were sober 10 years and you make a misstep, everybody always has the feeling like all of those 10 years are gone, right? like they matter nothing because, there was an incident. And if the incident gets a DUI, then it's even worse. Obviously, it's really going to, to weigh on this individual. But, with alcohol, right, which is a drug, this is another thing that you see a lot with alcohol, right? If you're a drinker, and if that is your drug of choice, then DUIs are probably in your future, because very often we got to get home, right? And people drive under the influence of drugs constantly, but they don't really have the same way to catch those people as they do with alcohol. They can do blood draws and all of that stuff, but if you knew how many times I got pulled over on heroin and then just drove away. But it doesn't happen very often on alcohol because of all of the other things that happens, ketones, right? The smells. It's a very easy thing to spot. And Rip, yeah, you just got to reach out and say, you know what, this happens to everybody. You happen to get a DUI, which is really unfortunate, but this really is part of the process.
Yep.
This is part of the process. And a shout out to Johnny. So I don't want anybody really freaked out about my brother. Johnny said he's having a really bad day. He was down in Texas doing things that I'm not allowed to talk about. He told me that. But so I'm not going to say he was getting filmed or anything like that, because I was specifically told not to. But he might have been down there with a film crew of some kind. And then he wanted to get on a plane and go back home. And he has literally been knocked at every single location. It's this flight got delayed, that flight got delayed. He was supposed to be in at about 11, and he was gonna pop on the lifeboat. We'd even talked about maybe doing the interview today, and he said, just in case anything goes wrong, let's try to schedule it for another day. Now he is slated to get home at around midnight. So this has just really been brutal, and he's on a runway in a plane right now, which he's been sitting on that runway for hours. So it's been one of those. But I don't want to put him on the spot, but this happened to my brother years ago. Like, this is not the first. And I remember very distinctly, he almost got arrested. He drank his way through that process and got belligerent, and was definitely, he's a different man today. The fact that he's just here and talking about how it's a bad day. In the past, somebody was in deep trouble. Christopher Allen says, I'm never sober. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Rip, just a little boost of confidence here, man. A little pat on your back. The guy could not have a better family member to talk to him about this.
True story, right?
Just saying. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
Okay, Christopher Allen says, I'm never sober. I live in the devil's playground, and my hands idle way too much. Quitting's never been the hard part. Not that it's easy. I like the song says, I got too much time on my hands. Great song, by the way. Christopher, I think the fact that you're aware of that is pretty incredible.
Yep.
Because we talk about this a lot on the lifeboat, and too much time on your hands is a death sentence to sobriety, right? It absolutely will drive you back. So if the getting off of it, and working through that part of the process has never been the hard part, I promise you, we can work with you and show you a lot of different ways to work on that idle time, because there are some things that you can do that will make that process a lot easier. And then again, he says, I never drive drunk or buzzed. It's the only time you'll ever see me sober, because I don't want to kill anyone, and I've lost friends to drunk driving. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
For real. No, that is not something that, there are a lot of people whose lives have been affected by that who don't seem to get the same message that you did. Oh, look at that.
They're gone. I got it.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Coloring and garden. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, we got Brandon in here too. If you want to bring him in, or you want to wait?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead and unmute Brandon if you could, bud. Hey,
hello.
Hey, bud. What's up?
How's it going?
It's going, man.
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm feeling good today.
Good.
I will let everyone on the boat know I just talked to Tommy about not even 24 hours ago. So
yes, 16.
He knows all this. He knows any information I'm going to share right now. But I just wanted to because it helps me to share. So more people I share it with, the better.
Amen.
For me.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody, by the way, that's everybody.
Yeah. Everybody. So anyone on the safe harbor, may or may not have noticed, I went a little radio silent this weekend. Last 4 or 5 days of the weekend. But I'm doing good. I'm making progress.
Well,
I will say. I'm
you know
making
something,
progress.
when he called me,
I had a really rough weekend, but
he did. He relapsed this weekend. It was for a couple of days, but like I've said so many times on the boat, and I said it to him last night. You know, he was like everybody is. You know, when you relapse, it's a kick to the whole psyche, because you get so excited and you think you're doing well, and then there's the slip, and again you just feel like you're back at ground zero, and or at the starting line. But as I pointed out to him, you know what? I'm 500 miles away. I don't know anybody that you know, right? There's no chance I know any of this unless you tell me. And we've said so many times that it would be very, very easy for somebody to come here and just go, no, I'm good.
Yep.
No relapse here, man. I'm killing it. But the number of people on the boat who come here and say, I relapsed over the weekend, in spite of the fact that nobody could see them, the fruit of any addiction is lies. And the fact that you are ahead of that, I think, is really incredible. And since I squirrel something vicious, both of you, hold on one second. Christopher Allen, he says that he's just never had the support group that he really thinks that he would have needed to get through that idle time.
Right here.
Here we are.
Yep.
This is it, right? You are in the right place. This
Well
is
said,
the greatest
Brandon.
crew in the world. Yep.
Here we
I
are.
promise you. Yes, here you are. And look around, every single name you see. Every single name you see. And the major says, seriously, it's okay not to be okay. Damn right it is.
And
Damn right it is.
And I think Brandon's probably gonna. I don't know the whole story he's going to tell us here, but I guarantee you he's not going to waste this relapse. I promise you he won't. He already is.
No, he's not. No, he's
plan
not.
on it. I don't plan on it. Yeah, I tried the going through a show and not saying anything. I told Tommy last night it was the lowest, well, very, very low feeling. I used the word fraud last night. It didn't work. Trying to just cover it and act like I was feeling okay yesterday certainly wasn't real.
Well, you know something? Honestly, the fact that you felt like a fraud, and you're not, right? This phone call certainly proves that. And the phone call to me last night proved that. But, and by the way, Mark, we spent a lot of time last night talking about what might have been happening and, what the underlying emotions are, because it's probably not what's right on the surface, and got a lot done. I think we really made
awesome.
a crap ton of headway. But yeah, the fact that was weighing on you, the fact that was making you feel like a fraud, says a lot about how far you've come, right? Because again, how would we know? Well, you knew,
yeah.
And coming on here made you feel that way. I think that's a pretty great indication on where you are right now. So we're proud of you, man. I love you.
Yeah, and Brandon, I would say this
Thank
too.
you.
I think
Thank you.
When you do stuff like this, I think it helps people that are coming in here understand that we are building real connections here, even though we've never put a hug on each other. We've never shaking anybody's hand, none of that stuff. But there's a real connection here, and we feel accountable to each other. And it's
for sure. For sure.
It is it's like a huge, I don't want to call it a wall, but it's like a huge shield for us. It just really is, because we got this to come to, and we know it's here, and that's why we're here. So
yeah. And I'll say after I talked to Tommy last night, I went back and watched the show from Saturday, about the emotions and that sort of thing, and just really watched it and tried to take in some more of it, because I watched it in a less than open place
right
Saturday evening. So
yeah,
and it really did help. It was a great show.
Well, and I think, again, we had a great talk last night, and I hope you're catching the comment section, because people like Tommy Bird, there's a lot of sentiment out there that just says, hey, we love you, man. And, that really is, the nature of your relationship with everybody here, man. You're such a huge part of the boat. Go ahead, Mark.
Let me ask you, Brendan. Are you already starting to feel a little bit of a relief after coming on here and talking just for a few minutes? Is that helping you already?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought that's what the answer was going to be, but I just wanted to. Yeah.
I think he would have blown an O-ring if he couldn't have got on the show. If you want to know the truth.
I may have. I might have had to just spill my guts in the comment section tonight. I might have had to write an essay in there. Way easier to just say it on live.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. And again, Brandon, I know that you know this already. It does take guts to come out here and just talk like that, honestly, because we're not so naive to think that we're just talking to each other. I mean, the whole world's hearing us. So, I mean, it's one of those things, and I get that you don't see the whole world while you're talking, and that's why we can do it, probably. And that's us taking one of the most negative things about the internet, and it's that wall that's there that allows everybody to say whatever they want, how they want, without any kind of, repercussions. We've taken that and just flipped it on its head and turned it to a positive thing. And you just proved it, honestly.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Austin says, Brandon, I love when you call in. I wish I had your courage. You know what? See that blue thing on the top? I promise you, we are not going to beat on you. You know what I mean? You are among friends. Have no fear.
Of course.
I
would recommend it.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
You'll see the same two faces on the screen. Nothing changes.
Right? Nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Hey, I love you, brother, and I'm proud of you.
Love
I
you
really
guys.
am.
Yep. Back at you,
And I'm glad that you got in,
brother.
because he really would have gone nuts. I'm so glad that you got in.
We tried to get it in yesterday, I think, and I think it was some connection problem or something.
Well, we
must have been, because I never got past the waiting screen.
Really?
Well, now you're good. Now you're good to go, right?
Hey, next time, if that happens to you again, please just fire it in the chat. Let me know, because I mean, I might not even have been aware you were even there. Sometimes I
or just ask Virginia. She'll help you get on. Sorry,
that's on point, though. On point.
Yep.
Virginia's the best.
That's right.
No question, right? That was just such a great call. All right, man. Thank you so
Stay
much.
strong,
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And you know what to
all.
do, right? Reach out.
That's right.
The sun does amazing things, right? Don't keep stuff in the dark.
Yeah,
I was.
From me.
I better, right? I better. Yes, the Major. I just have to get my 2 cents in, Major. Margaret Thatcher. Have you ever come across a dog named Margaret Thatcher? Huh? That's if I had a dog and it was a female, I would call her Margaret Thatcher. Especially if there was any gray whatsoever on the dog. The gray lady. I would definitely go with Margaret Thatcher.
That's awesome.
Putting my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
I'm a big Margaret
I
Thatcher fan.
guarantee you've got some like Winston Churchills and some Queen Elizabeth out there. There ain't no Margaret Thatcher guaranteed.
See that? You don't want to go to the dog park and run into 30 other dogs with the same name as yours.
Yeah.
They'll be like, look, this is my dog, Mittens or whatever, and be like, saw that coming.
Till she does something bad.
This is Margaret Thatcher, right?
Does something bad and you're screaming across the park, Margaret Thatcher!
Oh, that's funny.
That would be awesome.
That really is funny.
Hey, that's a TikTok right there.
Yeah. Waiting to happen. Okay. We something, there has never ever been there's never been a better set of squirreling than those 2 calls. I mean, absolutely. If it was a pit bull. Well done, Lawrence. Well done. Yep, that's a great comment too. So we scrolled off a little bit, and in the process, what it really comes down to is this, people. I don't want to have to say, is it the drug that you drink, right? I don't want to have to break stuff down, to that degree. I have never on this show not talked about booze without saying, of course it's a drug. Of course it's a drug. Maybe one of the most dangerous drugs out there because it can kill you. If you drink too much, it'll kill you. If you get addicted and try to quit, it'll kill you. There's so many ways that alcohol can take you off of the planet. And I have always, I mean, without fail, find somewhere where I don't, if you ever heard me say it wasn't a drug, I would be very curious to see where that is, because we are very much of the opinion that it is a drug. However, I'm going to say drugs and alcohol. And again, the reasons are pretty obvious. You ever notice that there is not just one 12-step program? Can't we just lump them into NA? It's a drug, right? No. There are some things about it, and this is a point that I wanted to make, and I want this to come out the way it's supposed to. But there are a lot of people on the planet who view drugs through a different lens than they view alcohol. Probably none of us, right? But there are people out there that drink who would never, ever consider doing drugs of any kind, because in their head, what they're doing is not doing drugs. The last thing in the world I would want to do is scare any of those people off before we have an opportunity to talk to them. You understand what I'm saying? It's one of those situations where we got to get people here, and we got to have an opportunity to communicate with people before we can get into some of the more the nuances, right, of all of this. So just know that when I say drugs and alcohol, I am most assuredly not saying that alcohol is not a drug, right? I promise you we're on the same page as far as that goes. Truthfully, I've done a little bit of research on this whole drug thing. I mean, and for a long period of time. And I promise you, there is nobody on the planet that does not, alcohol addiction is a super sneaky bastard.
100.
There's really no way to not read that comment.
That's
is there?
awesome.
It's just, that is awesome. And it's the truth.
Yep.
And it's the truth, because the first time somebody comes home and they come home to mom and dad and they've had something to drink, it's a completely different thing, isn't it? If your son or daughter came walking through the front door and they had a little white powder here, right?
You freak
and,
out.
You're 25 minutes late. Where you been? You know what? I tried Coke. Somebody had a bag of it at a party, and we were all just, you'd lose your mind, right?
Yeah.
But if they said, I had a couple of drinks, and well, hopefully you'll have a hangover in the morning because that'll talk you out of it. I mean, it's just a different thing, and it is. Society views it that way. Certainly, like the advertising and all the things I said. You drive down the street and you can go get it. Yeah. Thank you, Lawrence. There is no avoiding running into booze. And I've said this so many times that I'm sure you're tired of hearing it. But
that's okay. I would also say this, the word bastard actually is perfect. It is the father to everything. It don't have a father. It is what people started at first, guys.
Absolutely.
So,
Austin, this is really interesting, and I'm sorry, but this has got to
go for it.
Austin says, this is why I stopped in the middle of what I was doing, because Austin said, I only drank as a teen and said I'd never do drugs. And here I am. I've done everything but heroin. And there were a lot of people that could say the exact same thing. He says, and it made me who I am today, which is a husband and a father of two. I'll tell you what, my brother, if you needed a support group, you're in the right place. And you know what? As crazy as it sounds, drug addiction has definitely made me who I am today. But the guy I was, 7 years and 4 months ago, that person was a reprehensible piece of crap. I'm not saying you are, but my word meant nothing. Right. While I was addicted, there was just nothing good about me. There was nothing good about me. And that's just the absolute truth. I'm very, very happy to be where I am today.
I would
Hope, speed, MDA. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say this though, Tommy, that I think you're more of the person you are is more of the one that beat the drug, not the one that was in it.
Oh, yeah.
But it does.
I'm so far removed from who that person was.
But I think everybody understands what you were saying, honestly, because we all feel that, right? When we're in that, and when we come out of it, that is one of the biggest things we got to overcome. We got to overcome all the bad stuff that we did. And
Yeah.
that made us who we are. And we've talked about that before. A lot of times addicts become the best people in the world because I hate to say it, guys, we're pretty smart people. You know, think about this. How many people around the world can go around getting their drug of choice or whatever in such ingenious ways and never get caught?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? I mean, your brain is working in a way there that most people just don't even think whatever. So if you're able to put that to a positive thing, that's an awesome way to. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, hey guys, go out there and do this. So you can.
No, you want to hear something crazy? I don't know if I've told this story on the boat, but I remember having this conversation with my brother. I was in a rehabilitation class. This was on the street, and it was ordered by the state. And the guy was going around the room, and he was asking everybody what their substance of choice was. And he got to me, and I said heroin. And I was the only person in the room because the part of the country I was in at the time was really kind of like heavy on meth. And he said to me, how many how many years have you done it? You know, how long have you been doing it? And I said, at that point, 20 years, 22 years, something like that. And he, in front of the whole group, and there was a big group, he goes, damn, you must be proud. And being who I am, I thought, when this class is over, I'm punching this guy in the throat, right? Because I honestly thought he was saying this like, you know, he was mocking me, like, you know, everybody in the room's on drugs. So I waited until everybody left, and I walked up and said, hey, what was that about? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't mean any disrespect. He said, heroin was my drug of choice. He said, to be able to keep that lifestyle going for 20 years, he's like, good Lord. You know, he said, honestly, there's got to be some level of pride in there. And I said, no, there really isn't. But I understand what, you know, I really understood what the guy was saying, because you're right. It's a difficult thing to keep that going because of how just insidious it is.
We're the smartest and the stupidest people in the world all at the same time.
There's something to be said for that. I saw a great comment back here. I really got to catch it. Okay. I didn't see my boyfriend's addiction for the past 6 months. He drinks every day from about 3 p.m. until midnight. I was in such denial, and he will never admit it. Too functional. I'm glad that you said that, because this is one of the things that I was talking about early in the show. Is there really that big of a difference between, drugs and alcohol? Well, and alcohol is a drug. Is there a difference between the street drugs and the drug you can buy at the store? And the truth of the matter is there is, right? Because you're living with this person, watching this happen, and for 6 months, you never went, I think he's got a drug problem, right? That would never happen. If you came home and your boyfriend was doing any other drug from 3 o'clock until midnight for a week, you'd go, damn, he's a drug addict. But for 6 months, this is just a daily part of the routine. And yeah, if he's functional, then, it just doesn't, there is a very, very big difference. And as much as it is the same in every way, it is so different. It really is. And that difference comes more from anything else, from the acceptability. And I have said this so many times on the lifeboat that I'm sure people are tired of me using this illustration, but my substance of choice, was usually done in a needle. And if I can't imagine after Thanksgiving dinner, somebody busting out 6 or 7 needles and going, all right, who wants one? Right? I got a little China white. We're all going to, you want to slam a little after dinner? That it sounds bizarre, right? But after this Thanksgiving meal across the entire country, how many people are going to say, you want a cocktail? You want an after dinner cordial? You want, or when you first get there, you want a cocktail before we get going? No. Okay. Do you want wine with dinner? This kind of thing never, ever happens to people other than those with alcohol abuse disorder. So is it the same? No, it's a drug, but it is definitely not the same for a lot of reasons. Buddha, you got in. I'm talking about this close. You remember last night, people, I said, listen, Buddha, when this is over, man, shoot me an email, and here's the address. Well, as we started getting really close to the show, he thought, Oh man,
better do it.
I haven't shot one off to Tommy, and if I don't, he's probably going to say something on the show. So right as I was getting ready to go on, I heard the ding, and I was like, man, this. No, I'm kidding you, man. But I did get it. I will respond to it. You were actually a little bit down the list, so. But I will probably get to you tonight, and I'm glad that you're here, man. I really am.
I think we are at the top of the hour there, brother. Just so you know, I'm not sure if you were paying.
Wow, look at that! You know something? Big shout out to both of the calls today because they were incredible. And Virginia, yeah, I can't say enough nice things about Virginia. I really can't. Love her.
I'm gonna be like power driving the next person says they can't call in.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
That's 2 now.
Don't
right?
worry about it. She'll
she'll
train you.
Vicky how old's Vicky? She's in her 70s.
Yeah.
And she, guys, come on. we are working on getting a regular number. We're just busting you up here a little bit, guys. We're not being like completely crazy about that. We get it. I understand. I really do, because it is kind of we want to make it to where you just dial a number and you get right in. And we're working on that. So
we are working on that. And full of hope. I got to read this one, and then we'll wrap this up because full of hope says women reach their bottom, meaning rock bottom, much faster. It ruined my early life. It was exhausting hiding it and pretending to family, work, etc. Any other time I would go, that's kind of a sexist thing to say. However, there's actually some evidence to back this up.
There's some history there. Yep, 100.
Yep, there is honestly some science to back that up, and no one, I don't think anyone really knows exactly why. I think maybe they're just a little smarter. I mean, honestly, I think that there's probably something to that. And pride, right? Guy pride is different. Like, we really are not good at saying we need help.
I think it's environmental.
And asking for someone's help. Yeah, there is really something to be said for that. Don, great advice, says, make sure a thumbs up and leave a comment after the show. 2 really good pieces of advice.
Brandon,
I took a screenshot
Brandon.
of the emails.
Oh,
Austin said, I took a screenshot of the emails. Good. Use it.
Yep.
Use it.
Brandon, you hang in there, brother. Virginia, we love you. Thank you guys so much for calling in tonight. I have to say, that's right up there towards the top of the call-ins that we've ever had. It's
you know what?
Yep.
I wrap this up real quickly because both of these are great. Hold on.
Go for it.
Yes, thank you for creating this space, everyone. I'm so grateful. Hear that? Thank you for creating this space, everyone. Great comment.
Yep.
And then the major who understands the show says, where's the star of the show? Right. Wrap this thing up. Let's get to
one in the chat for happy birthday for Miss V. How about that?
Yes. And Tommy Bird, that is in the process of happening. Literally. That is in the process of happening. So, great call-ins tonight. Everybody, we're going to be back tomorrow night, right? Same bat time, same bat channel. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And the star of the show, that is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.